So today I'm going to be talking to you guys about programmatic media and dynamic creative. And these are two revolutionary technologies that are basically allowing for the targeting, the serving, and the personalization of ads on the internet. And since a lot of you guys are marketers, this is probably technology that you've been exposed to, but you don't know how it's going to technically work until today. So why you need to know this: it is the new generation of marketing. I'm going to show you how DMPs, data management platforms, work, how DSPs, demand side platforms, work, and how DCO, dynamic creative optimization platforms, work. And the reason why I'm dropping it is because I have 6 years of ad experience. I've been doing this for a while. I was part of a team that won a Cannes Lion, which is kind of like the Oscars of the advertising world. And I want to both chill you guys out and make you a little bit more afraid of advertising, so you guys can be more accepting of Netflix, its algorithms, Amazon, its algorithms, YouTube, its algorithms, and but at the same time know that it's sort of Black Mirror-y. Cool. So first things first, I want to dissect and define what digital advertising is to me. It is these 7 formats. So there are display ads, also known as banner ads. There's pre-roll video ads, and there's also mid-roll and post-roll, which are super, super annoying. Don't buy those as advertisers. There are mobile ads. There are in-browser mobile ads, as well as in-app mobile ads. Those are the 2 types of inventory you can buy. There's social ads, such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Vine. Just kidding, Vine's dead. There is search, which is basically Google, unless you're a hipster and use Bing or Yahoo. And there is also email marketing and content marketing, also known as sponsored content. And you can also buy that programmatically. So any articles that look like they are native to the page, they're actually bought by an advertiser despite them being on like Huffington Post or your favorite entertainment site or anything like that. Cool. So let's show this off, how programmatic media and dynamic creative works, with some world-class advertisers that have already done so. And I chose for you, typically there's a choice here, but I chose for you, and I'm going to talk through Campbell's Soup with a little wiggle animation. Okay, great. So let's talk through Campbell's Soup. So essentially what's happening here is it is for the Campbell Soup Company in Australia for the year 2016. And what happened in Australia, let me fast forward to the stats here, is that it was a really, really hot summer. So how are you going to convince people to have soup when it's typically a cold sort of product that you ingest? So they created SoupTube, which was 1,700 individual ads that were served to users depending on what they searched for. So orange is the new black. You would get this type of ad on the left before your content. Single ladies, Beyonce, you would get that sort of ad. Donald Trump sort of material. So any of these search terms, which was the data in this case, would then supply a unique ad based on what you're searching for. From a media perspective, it's YouTube. From a data perspective, it's contextual search. And from a DCO perspective, it's each of these 700,000 videos. Cool. So let's witness programmatic media and dynamic creative in real life. And so if you guys have a computer or a phone on you, on your person, I want you guys to go to these websites and tell me which ad is being served to you. So I'm going to do that right now. Cool. So we're currently in Split, Croatia, and let's see what ad I'm getting served. Oh, I just went to the mall. Cool. And I'm getting served these. I'm a gamer. I'm getting served this ad on the left, this 300 by 600. I recently went to the mall. I'm getting served what looks like a dynamic creative ad, and also this ad on the right for a Birem Toyota hybrid. I love Toyota as a brand. What are you guys getting, especially those in the room with me right now?
I got something about vegan food.
Vegan food. Cool.
Something about fantasy football.
Fantasy football, okay. What do you got, Kelsey?
I had for some event in New York City.
Okay.
On Huffington Post.
Very, very cool. Awesome. So, despite us all being physically in the same place, looking at the same website, at the same time, all these ads are getting uniquely personalized to us. And that's the power of dynamic creative. It is the ability to personalize ads depending on the user. And so let us talk about how this actually works. Thank you for your answers. It's all because of data. And who are you guys to advertisers? You're just a bunch of ones and zeros floating in a database out there. I'm going to look at one DMP, one data management platform, which is Google. And you will be able to see this on adsettings.google.com. So let us go to that. If you are on your phone or on your computer, you can just type in adsettings.google.com and you can see what this data management platform says about you. So for me, it says that I'm 25 to 34 years old, true. I'm a male, true. I'm into video games, beauty and fitness, business services, classical music, computer and electronics, all these things. And this is gonna be a little bit much for me because I do ads, so I visit a lot of random websites, but in general, this is very, very in line with who I am, especially love those undergarments, right? So anybody want to share what Google thinks of them? Anything that's super, super accurate or perhaps not accurate?
It says I'm 65 plus years old.
Oh, very good, Dan. What about you, Eva?
It says bars, clubs, and nightlife.
Ooh, well, what I know about you.
Movies and entertainment.
Cool.
This one says home and gardening and parenting.
Ah.
This is not accurate at all.
So interesting. Sometimes the data is off, sometimes the data is on. What about you, Kelsey?
That's pretty accurate. 18 to 24 years old, female, beauty and fitness, events and listings, gifts and special event items. All seems pretty.
Great. So obviously this data is coming from somewhere. And so this is a good litmus test for one specific data set, Google, and what it thinks about you. So let's go into the 3 steps of digital marketing 101. So every ad that you look at has 3 important components. There's the data, the media, and the creative. And in this case, you can substitute that with the who, the where, and the what. Now, which of these are the most important? Let's take this ad that I got served to me on The Independent. What's more important? The fact that I'm on theindependent.com.co.uk, which is the media side. Is it the fact that they're advertising a PS4 to me, the creative side? Or is it the fact that I'm into video games? Which of these is more important? Which is the data side, obviously.
It's a combination of all 3.
But which is the most important? That I'm into video games, yes. So the data is the most important part of this 3-part equation. Yes, they need to all flow together, but the data is the most important. So let's talk about the data. Cookie Monster is watching you. So tracking pixels, any sort of attribution, any sort of bucketing that is happening on you is considered data. And these are the 8 typical ways that DMPs, data management platforms, are segmenting you into different buckets. So there's the demographics, your household income, your marital status, your age, your gender. There's the geography that you are in. So that's for me right now in Split, Croatia, or state, or DMA, district market area, or zip code, or if you're on mobile inventory, triangulation between the cell towers that you're by. There's contextual as well as keyword. Those are the words on a page. If you're reading a blog, if the word sports or football comes into the article a lot, then you can, if you're a sports advertiser, you can target those words. There's also contextual image searching, which is incredibly creepy and awesome. It is an algorithm that scanning a photo and it says, hey, there is a man on a bike by a mountain in this photo, possibly a REI would want to buy that ad space. There's the language that you speak, or more specifically, the settings of the language that that your browser or your device has, your behavior, what you've bought, the time, the day, and retargeting. You guys run into retargeting ads all the time. Any guesses on what retargeting is, as it is the most effective data to buy against? Any guesses? Kelsey?
Like when you go to a website and then you like click around and look at like bed sheets say, and then you go to another website and you have an ad for the same bed sheets.
You got it, exactly. So there are two types of retargeting. One is website driven and another is pixel driven. So a pixel example would be if you put something in your Amazon cart, and let's say it is a video game. That video game company can then follow you around despite it being on Amazon. The fact that it is the video game that you put into your cart, you can then be retargeted off of that item. So retargeting is the most effective, but it's the most creepy in my opinion. But how? Let's take a really easy example. How does Google know that I am 30 years old? I didn't tell Google that at all. Let's go through an example to find out how, with cafe data. Cool, love that animation. It's all in PowerPoint, great. Cool, so we are in cafe data. It is in Split, Croatia, and there are all these people that are buying teas and coffees. Some buy small, medium, and large teas or coffees, and these people on the left pay with cash. These people on the right pay with credit card, and these people in the middle, they pay with, they also use their cafe data rewards card because they want their tea or coffee and their points for next time. So what data can be scraped here? There are 3 entities that can see this transaction, this snapshot. And let us have some audience participation. Who are the 3 entities that can see data here? Any guesses?
The store.
Correct. So this specific cafe data can see all of it. That is one entity.
The payment processors.
Yes, so the credit card companies, MasterCard, Visa, American Express, they are another entity that can see all of the transactions on the right in the yellow. And a third one, I'll give you this one. This is the cafe data rewards card. So the ones in the green, they can only see that one. Yes, they can somehow use a point of sale system to see all of it, but the strongest data will be that in the green using the rewards card system. So to review, the 3 entities are, number 1, this specific cafe data, number 2, and they can see everything. Number 2 is the credit card companies, and number 3, the rewards card program. There's a hidden 4th one. If you have a Alexa or a Google Home, or even just your cell phone on the table, they can hear everything, and they know everything. Praise our Google overlords.
Turn that off. Is that turn off?
It's technically, according to their official statements, they are not tracking you, but I think that's a huge lie, and that we are in a surveillance state.
Yeah.
Cool, great. So let's talk about the second leg of the equation, which is media. So media is the where of the equation, and everybody has a price. And there are 3 types of media that can be bought nowadays, given those 7 types of digital advertising that I said before. There are 3 ways to buy them. That is publisher direct, through an ad network, or through an exchange. But let's go through some media history to see how all of this came to be. So play a harp sound effect. We're now in the mid and early 1990s. So pretend that I am Coca-Cola and I am trying to promote this new thing called Coke Zero in the early 90s. And remember, all of this technology and all of this, all these different types of media that can be bought is very transient. So there's not one hard cutoff where one technology starts and the other one ends. There are still publishers today that sell publisher direct inventory. So we're in the early to mid 1990s, And Coca-Cola comes to Aoife, and Aoife has a soda blog. It is sodalovers.com, and she's just super, super passionate about soda. And I come to Aoife and I say, hey, Aoife, I'm going to offer you a deal. I want to buy these banner ads on sodalovers.com, and I want your audience to see that there's this new product coming out, Coke Zero. Great. And so we negotiate, and we come up with like a $10 CPM. So that's a cost per thousand. For $10, 1,000 people will see my ad on sodalovers.com. Then I go to Kelsey, and she has another blog, and it's ilovesoda.com. Kind of similar audience, but maybe there's a little twist on it. Maybe it's for people that care about fitness or whatever, and they want like low-calorie soda or whatever, but they want all that sort of stuff. And so we negotiate. Maybe it's a $9.50 CPM. And so in the 90s, media plans were huge because you had to negotiate with every single publisher, and every negotiation had to happen uniquely. And so we're negotiating, we're driving down CPMs, we're still working publisher by publisher. And so Kelsey and Aoife with sodalovers.com and ilovesoda.com, they eventually meet and they say, hey, wait a minute, our prices are going down year over year. We're being price discrepant. People aren't talking to each other, and despite our audiences being the same, I'm getting a 50-cent worse deal than you, right? And so basically this becomes a publisher union. So Kelsey and Aoife and Tamer and Dan, everybody has these soda blogs, and they band together and they say Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Mr. Pibb, RC Cola, anyone drink Mr. Pibb? Anyone who wants to advertise on any of our publishers, you have to now go to the Soda Ad Network. And there is where ad networks start to pop up. And all of these people are banding together for buying power, or in this case, selling power. And so you start to have lifestyle networks and men's networks and women's networks. And have you heard of the Scripps Network? Cool. Scripps controls Cooking Channel and the Food Network channel and DIY channel and HGTV. All of those publishers are under the Scripps network. And I think they merged with Nat Geo. But publishers are being shady too, because they're selling their inventory to multiple ad networks. There are bot farms where people or robots are just pressing reload on the website so that these impressions are essentially fake. And they start to say like, hey, now the advertisers are getting screwed out of this part of the equation. So just like today, they look towards the finance industry and fintech to be able to say, how can we improve our bidding process so that we can be more efficient and more transparent with our deals? So just how stocks and bonds can be traded in under a second by a machine, they now have the capability to do that with people. So based off of our search history, based off of the words on a page, based off of all the data that I previously reviewed, this is how real-time bidding comes into effect. And where do people go to bid? They go to the ad exchange. And the ad exchange is where advertisers, through a demand-side platform, that is the DSP that I previously talked about, can set a ceiling price on the person that they want to bid on, and publishers define that person and they set a floor price. And all of these advertisers are bidding against the same target, and all of these publishers are selling different targets, and they meet in the middle at the ad exchange. So that is how DSPs, SSPs, and ad exchanges came to be. So let's talk about the creative now. So creative is the third part of the equation. Let's be real, as consumers, we don't know about our data, right? And how easily it's flowed to and fro from all of these data networks. We don't care about the sites that we're visiting, right? When we get served these ads, we're only going to YouTube, we're only going to Pandora, we're only going to the independent website. It's the creative that we remember. Everybody remembers the Oreo blackout ads. Everybody remembers crying to those P&G ads, right? Or the stupid hamster ad. We remember the creative as consumers. And so for consumers, this is very important because ads, the creative ads, inform, persuade, or remind us about the products that we see. And so I want to talk to you about Tennessee Tourism, which used dynamic creative, which is based off of data that allows us to personalize and segment different types of creative. So I'm going to skip here. This is for the state of Tennessee. So what we did for the state of Tennessee is we found all of these people and connected them to different segments of creative depending on where it's getting served. So all this data is floating around, all of these different websites are floating around, all these different people are floating around. So let's say you're from St. Louis, you're into country music, you're into steakhouses and outdoor hiking. A unique ad is going to get served to you that includes all of those things, so that instead of getting a general come to Tennessee ad, you get a personalized Tennessee ad based off of your interests. So there is everything in Tennessee for everyone, essentially. So there were over 2,000 versions of this 45-second spot, and the video is going to go into the results. So now that brings us to the present, 2018. With DMPs and data management platforms, you can find the right person. Through a DSP, a demand-side platform, you can find them in the right place. And with DCO and dynamic creative optimization, you can serve them the right message. And that is today. Cool, but that's not to say that every ad is great. And I'd like to argue that when you hate an ad or the ad experience, it's because one of these pillars are off. So there's who TF, where TF, and what TF. And so here are some examples that I've been personally served when one of these are off, and then your ad experience sucks. I've been served this ad, and that's an example of the data being off, because I'm never going to use this product, maybe unless I have a nosebleed or something. So that is the data being off. Sometimes the media is off, the placement is off, and it just doesn't make sense for where it's getting served, and you would get that sort of odd, irregular placement. And then, of course, the creative. If it's uninspiring, if it's cluttered, if it's unaesthetically appealing, then you will just like hate the ad as well. So all three have to line up in the Goldilocks zone in order to get an awesome ad experience. Officially, there are some marketing challenges that all advertisers face. In today's day and age, people are more mobile focused. So desktop has typically been the most data driven and data plentiful place, but because of mobile, the rules have now changed. And so advertisers have to follow suit. There is GDPR, and there's all these privacy concerns and who's using my data, and that is constricting for advertisers because it's not as free flowing. People are pissed off because their ad experiences suck, so they just install ad blockers so that you can't even reach them at all. There's still ad fraud and bot traffic and people farming ads to people. There's brand safety and your ads appearing next to places you don't want them to be. And as an advertiser, I think the biggest thing is just people don't know about DMPs, DSPs, and DCO platforms. And so there's a talent shortage because how can you execute on these technologies when you don't even know that they exist? So those are the pros and cons of digital marketing, programmatic media, and dynamic creative in today. And hopefully you now know a little bit more about how this stuff works, or at least you tried. Cool, so let's talk about the future of digital advertising and why digital advertising is important. First, I think philosophically that advertising follows where people pay attention, especially in the media realm. Everybody is floating around with little dollar signs on their head, right? And advertisers spend money to find the right target. And where are people spending their time to get in front of ads? It's in front of screens. So that's why radio, print, all of those mediums are kind of going down because digital is stealing that budget because that's where we as consumers are spending our time. But we always have to think about the consumer at the end of the day. And if our target is not digitally focused, then we shouldn't put our dollars there. So we should think of digital as a media amplifier in order to bring up our entire media plan. It is the fastest growing budget because that's where all of us are spending our time and where all the cool innovations are happening, things like Tennessee Tourism and SoupTube and all of the things I showed you before. And just like in the 2000s and the 2010s when we were revolutionizing the ecosystem with programmatic, cryptocurrencies and artificial intelligence are coming into the fray, which are all fintech technologies that we are now applying to the digital advertising landscape. So hopefully in the future, DomBot will be doing my media buying for me, while Real Dom is out on the beach in Split, just like chilling with a margarita. But that's not to say that digital is at the forefront of everything and where all the innovation is happening. Traditional media is also taking the same foundations and philosophies of programmatic and attuning them to traditional media. So you can have programmatic and dynamic creative radio, out of home, direct mail. And so I want to show you some examples of that. Here is an example of programmatic direct mail. So I just got this $10. Oops. So let me just mute it. Essentially, this is a mailer from Target for me and my roommate. And one person, the one who spends the most money at Target, i.e. me, got a $10 coupon in the mail while the other got a $5 one. And here's an example of dynamic creative out of home for a train station that's connected to data. It's showing how many seats are left at what price for what specific train from a specific place. So this digital billboard is changing based off of real-time data. Cool. So homework for you guys. While you journey out there into the world and you browse the internet and you go out and see digital billboards and all that sort of stuff, show me if you can see any programmatic and dynamic creative ads. Screenshot them, take a photo, send them to me. I really, really get off on this sort of stuff. So please show them to me. And with that, hopefully you guys have some questions and are inspired by programmatic media and dynamic creative, and ask away.
I have a question.
Yes.
How would you say that dynamic creative applies to like content online?
I think as sponsored content gets more connected to programmatic platforms, dynamic creative can customize that content. And so instead of having to write every single article and having to talk to every single publisher, now you can buy them on the marketplace and basically outfit them to be for whatever your target is or wherever place they're at and anything like that. I got a previous question that someone wrote to me that basically they get remote year ads served to them all the time, but they're on remote year. And how would they remedy that? So with my experience, what I would do is tell the remote year marketing staff to add a negative targeting pixel to somewhere that only people on remote year have access to, probably the remote year hub. So that way, if you visit the remote year Facebook page or Instagram page, you then get retargeted. You can get served remote year ads. But once you're in the system and you have access to the remote year hub, then you are out of that pool because you have the negative retargeting pixel on you. So remote year staff, holla at me. Any other questions?
Are these techniques available to all budgets, or is it only if you have like a massive lead or marketing budget?
Well, depending on your execution, I would recommend certain platforms and certain places where you should go. So dynamic creative, if your number of variations is low, can actually be foregone. So if you only have like 3 to 6 variations, depending on, maybe it's like 6 regions that you want to target, I would just manually separate them out and attune your buy to each one. But when your ads start getting to the thousands or the millions range, that's when you need a dynamic creative platform to facilitate that. Good question. Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any questions that you think of, feel free to email me or connect with me on these platforms. And thank you very much.